He take off?
Yeah, he took off.
Okay. I was going to have him help me out with this here. I did this for the Cedar Rapids Club last August or September. Took everything down there. I got down and was actually going to do some turning. What do you think I left home? The bit. So I couldn't do any turning or any router work with it that night. I saw this article in Woodsmith magazine, I believe it was August of '09. I was going to dig out the copy and bring it along. I don't remember what number it is, but it was August of '09. I did look that up on the computer tonight. It's using, anytime we're going through here, if you got a question, stop me. It's a router extension, about a 2.5-inch extension, I don't remember the exact amount, and then a bowl bit that goes on there. That, let's see if I can. Get this over here. And it will extend a little bit more than that when I bring it all the way down, but you can get deep down in a bowl for cutting out 2.5 inches deep if you want to, and I haven't ever gone quite that deep with any of the ones that I have done yet. The shape of the bowl is basically limited to whatever your imagination is to make these up. Some of the ones that I've got here were directly out of the article. This one, my wife has used for puts French bread and stuff in it once in a while. When we've had company, something like that, she'll use it. I've got two different sizes of that one. There's a smaller one and the larger one. What you're supposed to do with this, your blank is big enough so you can screw it to this template. The first one I made, once you get done, then you have to take a bandsaw and bandsaw it. I got a little bit smarter as I did the second one. I cut it straight along one side. I put a little piece of wood here. When I put it up there, I clamped it to it so that is right along there. And I've got one side already done. My second side over here then, instead of doing a bandsaw, the straight edge I did on the table saw. Saved myself. I still had to cut out the ends on the bandsaw, but at least you save a little bit of time on that part of it. So this is one bowl that I've made. Second, I didn't have one of this size at home anymore. This one my wife has used for candy, mints, chips, different things like that. This one you have to do in 2 steps. I tried doing it in one. This fits over there like so. I tried one time, thought I could do it all in one, but this piece right here is so narrow. When I cut it out and left that piece, there wasn't enough strength there. So when I was pushing up against it, it broke, and I had 2 pieces of scrap wood for a bonfire. Pardon? Finish? I think all of them are just Minwax polyurethane with it. Someone asked me once about food, but I did some looking online. They said once the material is dry, there's no problem with using it with food. I'll jump down to this end. This again is just a big bowl. You have to do this again in 2 parts. A little bit tricky to this one when you do this is when you do the one side, then you flip it the other, making sure that you get that lined up correctly for doing a second one with it. So just some things to remember when you do that. This one's the most difficult one to do. It's 3 steps. This one I made out of some tiger maple, the sides on the bottom here. I did some gluing up so that I didn't have to waste some wood with this. You take the blank, the first one you do, I'll try and hold it here, and you do the inside of the bowl. Or not say bowl, whatever you want to call it. This one's a tray. After my wife saw this, she wants me to make one so that one of her glass Pyrex pans fit in here, but I haven't gotten around to making the right templates for it yet. Okay, then when you get the inside done, then you take this piece and you have to duck or use double stick tape to put it on the bottom. Then you do these little ears. Take these parts out with it. When you're done with that one, then you put this piece on the bottom. Then you use your router and take this portion out. Now I cheat just a little bit and I use my table saw and take as much of it out as I can, so I'm not doing it with a router. But the finish is with the router on it. The last one I've got down here that I came up with, Denny Gilroy helped me with this. I don't have a scroll saw, so I had drawn the template. I gave it to Denny, and Denny cut the holes for me with this. But it's just a server. You can put dips, candy, whatever you'd want in it. These are just little Pyrex bowls that you can get at different stores for this. Pardon?
Where did you get the Pyrex?
She got them down at Tanger Outlet at the, I can't remember which store it is that carries the Pyrex. They're about, I think, around $3.50 a piece. Probably got more in the bowls than I do in the wood. This one is tiger, maple, and cherry. This one is cherry and maple. This one, I got a tree from a customer when I was working over at the bank in Traer. They had a maple tree they were taking down, and I wanted it just for the wood, for drawer sides and so on. When I got the wood back, this is actually soft maple, but part of it was spalted in there. So there weren't very many boards in it that were spalted, but just 3 or 4 of them out of the whole thing. So that's what this is spalted soft maple.
Jerry?
Yes?
Backing up on the circular relish straight there, is you get 2 sections.
This one?
How come you couldn't just make a complete circle? Cut it out that way.
Oh, when I cut the circle, well, you've got to have the square first to screw the blank to the template.
And then the router has to fit inside that.
The router has to fit inside. Yeah, that supports the router. And
What you got to do, Jerry, is have a bigger
You can create a
plate
slate
on
on
your
I've got the plate. I haven't had a chance to cut it and drill it yet to fit, but I've got the bigger plate.
You might want one even bigger than that.
You've done this, you ought to be up here then. But yes, a bigger plate definitely will help, especially when you get to ones like this one here. A bigger plate would definitely help out on these.
Big enough so that when the router bit is to the one edge, your plate's still hanging over the other side.
Yes, yes. You don't want that router on an edge like this, like we do sometimes when we're doing edge molding. You want that router, no matter where, if your bit's clear over here at this edge, if my bit's clear over here, can everyone see what I'm showing here? If my bit's clear over here, I still want this edge supported on top of a template. You don't want to get so that you're doing this. Bob?
Is there a bearing that runs against your...
Yes, the bowl bit. There's a bearing right here that rides against. But this is your template, so you're going down just enough each time that that bearing is running against that template. And as you go down, as you keep going deeper, since this is a flush trim, then as you get down in here, then the bowl itself becomes the template when you get farther down in.
How much do you take off at a time?
They say you can do a 1/4 inch. The most I ever do is 3/16. I just don't like to take that terrible much. You do a 1/4 inch out of, you take a 1/4 inch out of this at one time, you're really hogging a lot of, and usually I've always got to stop because so many times it'll fill up with sawdust in there. I've got to stop, get the sawdust out, and continue on.
What's that big cost? And then remember that?
I have had this bit probably 10 years. I don't remember just what I paid for it anymore.
$69 is it?
Yeah, for just the bit? Okay, 70 for the bit. I don't know what the router extension is. It's been 10 years since I bought mine, and I know they're higher. I'm sure they're higher now than
I think the kit is around 100.
if you get both of them at the same time.
You get both of those and the template.
Okay, with it. About a year ago, I did have this bearing go bad, and I had to get a new bearing. The bearing finally froze up on me with it. I don't know dirt or what happened, but it froze up. Called Woodhaven, which is where I guess this is a CMT bit that I got from Woodhaven. They carry CMT bits. Talked to them, and they got me a new bearing for it, ready to go. I will do some actual routing here in just a little bit. This piece here, somebody asked me, I didn't do that on a lathe. No, I didn't. That was just a quick cut it out one time because I needed something. What I use this for, sometimes when I'm doing some sanding or something else, I want to hold it tight, but I don't want to put this part in a vise. I'll put double stick tape on here, put it on here, and then put this in the vise. Just something to hold it down easily and steady for me.
Jerry, do you ever take any of your material out with like a Forstner bit or anything first?
No. No. Nope, I've always done it with just the router bit. I suppose you could do that. I don't know how...
Well, a video that I got, Pat and I went together with this, and we've never used it, but the video shows that they use a Forstner bit to hog out as much material
Oh, okay.
as possible, and then it's a lot faster.
Yeah, it would be faster. Quite a thing I would wonder, and maybe it wouldn't do it. When you're moving around, you'd hit a void spot and stuff. Would it grab and jerk around for you? Would it grab for you? I don't know. That was just a question when you mentioned that, Gene. That came to my head is whether that would, if you'd go through the area where the Forstner bit had already taken it out, you moved it, would it want to grab and cut more than you want to all at one?
Yes,
Of course, the video shows.
It does, okay. Okay. You ought to be up here instead of me.
I'd rather watch you.
I got a good critic in the audience here tonight.
Well, he's a helper, not a critic.
One of the things I do use for setting, and I'll do this after a bit when I've got the bit in there, I'll drop that down. Stop first, we're going to do this. I would bottom out my bit, raise it up. Like I say, I use these brass setup blocks an awful lot for different things, but I would just set that so it would take 3/16 of an inch, so that then when I go in to do my actual routing, that'll go down 3/16 of an inch. With the bowl bit, I can take out 3/16 of an inch at a time. And it does go fairly, it doesn't take a long time to route a bowl out.
Terribly messy.
It's messy. That's why I brought the vacuum tonight. The reason I use the vacuum a lot is because if I was doing this one right here, it'll fill up with sawdust and I can't see where I'm going, so I'll have to stop sometimes, take the vacuum, just suck the sawdust out. You can't just pick it up and dump it because you've got it locked in a vise, so I just use the vacuum to pull the sawdust out as I'm going. When I get down to the bottom for my last cut, I don't want to take very much out. So my last cut, I'll use like a business card and bottom it out, and it won't let it down much. Put that in there, and then bottom it out. And you're taking just the thickness of a business card for the last cut with it. Sanding. Well, okay. Once you get it cut out, once you get the bowl done, then let's go to this one down here. Then you've got to go to a bandsaw and just cut the shape that you want it to be, the shape of the bowl. And after that, I go to my belt sander and do a lot of sanding on the belt sander to get smooth. Then sometimes I go down to my fine detail sander and use that to get it a smoother finish before I do this. The last two steps to round off the top, I just use an 1/8 inch round over bit, go all the way around the outside and the inside just to round it off, give it a little bit of a finished look. And you don't want it just setting flat, give it a little bit of depth to it. I use a 3/8 cove bit, and I don't do the whole cut all at once because sometimes it'll splinter out on you with it, but just take a little bit of a cut of time until you get this little bit of, I guess, pedestal. So what you call it, want to call it on there? It's setting on, so it's not setting just like a flat piece of wood setting there. It just gives it a little bit of depth, a little bit of shape to it. Sanding the inside. You got one of these too? Can't do without them. They're hook and loop that stick on there. I'm not going to run it, but you can put that on there then. This is soft. It'll give. So you can sand the bottom and you can get into those rounded corners with this. Because of that pad being soft enough, it'll conform to the shape of those rounded corners in there, and you can sand that. I don't like sanding. I don't think anybody does. If they do, we're going to have them checked out. But when you do that, your sides will probably take a little bit of sanding, but because of the bowl bit, you're following that template all the way down, it leaves a pretty smooth finish on the sides already. Keep the questions coming. That's the best thing as we're going along here with any of this.
Did you make the handle on the thing for the pirate?
The first one, I made the handle to fit. It comes off real easily, just screws off. I've got a threaded insert in there. This is the first one I made. Took it in the house, so proud of it. Showed it to my wife. That's going to take all kinds of room to store. So, I had made the second one, but I hadn't put the threaded insert in yet. Here's the handle. Never put the insert in. Probably never will. The third, when I got this wood here, that spalted maple, I didn't even make the handle for it. And she's right. Even though you can take this off and it will store, but liked it better without the handle, so that's the way I've left them.
How do you make that handle without a lathe?
This I did do on the lathe. This part I did do on the lathe, but these I did not. The other thing that I have used to round these, I've got a template. I can't think what you call it, a router template for doing circles, adjustable, and I cut it out on the bandsaw close to that line, and then you can center it on there and just take your router and go around and get a perfect circle with that template. Any questions before we try and make some noise and do a little cutting? This probably won't be a real long demo, but it will just do what we have with it here.
How do you make the templates?
The templates, well, like I say, this one, I laid it out. You can see the lines on there, they're real light, but I just laid out the 320 degree on it here. Went out so far, and I drew my circles. And Denny Gilroy has a scroll saw, and he was nice enough to scroll saw that out for me. Some of these, the very first ones I did, were real crude. I've redone some of these. The first ones I did them with just a saber saw. I don't have a scroll saw. Since then, I've been talked fast enough I can talk somebody into that's got a scroll saw and doing this for me. What's that? Only you. Then I've got a drum sander that I used when I did this saber saw with it, and got them to where I was comfortable with the lines being straight enough. If you look at a couple of these, you see where I've dinged them up a time or two. I've lifted the router out a little bit at an angle, something dinged it. I dinged that one once doing it. Take some, is it Hard Rock Maple putty? Put that in there, smooth it back out. You're fine. It'll go again.
Gary, do you play with the speed of the router much? Or just leave it right over?
This is a one-speed router. There's no changing on this one. I do have a router at home that I can change speed, but I've never had it on that one. So I couldn't tell you, Bob. I don't know what would happen.
What kind of circle template do you have? What brand?
Pat, what'd you buy a couple years ago that I won at the Christmas thing?
I got one from Woodhaven on that one. You got to drill a little center hole.
Yes. Yes. Yes, you do.
You got that on the bottom of it? Where it's not
Well, what I did on one of them, I think that's what I did on both of these, and it worked. I took a piece of, oh, here, I can use this one here. I took a piece of wood, double thick tape, and had the hole in it.
Oh, okay.
So I didn't have to drill a hole here. You can see there is a little pinpoint right here in the center. Because you've got, that's the only way I better to guess to get it where I wanted, was using that little pinhole to get it placed on the wood where I want it. And what I usually do there is just take like a number 6 finish nail and put it through there and tap it in just enough to hold it in place while I get it screwed to the template. Is all I'm, and it's, this one's a little more obvious because of the wood. This one, you can probably see it, but it's not as noticeable with the spalting, with a little bit of a hole there. And if you put the threaded insert, you get rid of the little dimple in there, but you got to make sure the wife likes it when you get done then. Okay, let's... Okay, so we're gonna first, come on, here. See if I got it all the way in. Okay. I've got 2 routers I can put this on, and I grabbed the wrong one tonight. Put it on the wrong base. I've got the bit up in the router as far as it goes, so it's all ready. So when I come down this time, I'm going to have to come down like this without any lowering of it, and it will be taking a hold right away. It won't be taking much, maybe taking 1/8 of an inch out the first time, but it will show you how to use the depth gauge after that. Get some stuff out of the way here.
Put tape on that or screws on it first?
Pardon?
And put tape or screws on that?
This, it's all ready. Yeah, the piece, good point though. I've already got this in the vise here already, but there are 2 screws here holding this tight to the wood that I'm using here. This one happens to be big enough that when I get done doing this one, when I get home, this one will have a hard maple on the top, walnut on the bottom. When I do the other one, I'm going to flip it, have walnut on top, maple on the bottom. I hope this is something most of you do. I do it. I can't say I do it 100% of the time. I do it the majority of the time. If I'm working a long time in the shop, if I just go down the shop and I'm going to do something real quick, I probably don't grab the glasses and use them. But if I'm doing anything, I'm down there for an hour or so, I do. The other thing, I've gotten over the years where I just use the hearing protection. I use it in the tractor, even though they're quiet. I use it in the combine. I use it when I'm mowing. I use them in the shop. I just use the hearing protection almost all the time anymore.
Different color tractor you wouldn't need.
Pardon?
Maybe you get different.
What color do I need?
Huh?
What color do I need? Well, I have 2, but they're older tractors. I don't have the nice new tractor. So we'll go ahead and do the first one. Like I say, this first one will not use the depth like I should in here, like I'll just have to lower it in. So, okay, so here, I'm going to bottom the bit. I'm going to set it for 3/16. And this time we'll lower it down and we'll do a full 3/16. The other thing as I was doing, I thought I probably should have told you, I always do the outside first, and because the bit's turning clockwise, as I've got it in here, I go clockwise around here so that I'm cutting into the side. Just like you would if you're on a router table, you always want the bit cutting into it in the right direction. Do you have this problem with it filling up with sawdust?
Oh, yeah.
Just show them, Jerry, what that looks like now, partially through that.
We couldn't find the handle tonight.
Sorry.
I've just gone part way. I'll bring it out around here. I don't have it all hogged out yet from that layer, but I've just started. But it fills up with sawdust so bad.
You need to put you a snout on the side where you just want to drop the back.
It'd be nice if I've thought of trying to, but you need to pull, something's got to pull it up out of that hole.
You should if you vacuum.
I'll have to try it sometime. I haven't. Project for somebody for next meeting to make a handle. Okay, we're bottomed out again, so we'll just reset it. For 3/16 of an inch again. Can everybody hear me when I'm talking back there? And I'm not going to ask you, Dick. You can see by the sawdust I'm getting down into the wallet.
Jerry? So how do you check for the depth then, how deep is gone?
I guess I didn't go over that. I use this. I didn't set that there when I started, but I know that I've got 1.5 inch depth, 2 3/4 inch pieces here. When I get my first, zero it out the first time, then set this to the depth you want to go down when this, or it actually moves up here, but you can zero it, put to the, if I put it down here, put it on the zero mark. As I keep going down, it'll keep moving and end up where we want it to be. Like I said, the last pass that I make with it, a lot of times there'll be little grooves in the bottom there a little bit. To lessen those, what I do is I take just a business card, playing card, whatever you want to use. It doesn't take much out the last time. It's got one spot there yet. I'm deep enough in there now that the sides of my actual bowl is now the template. I'm past the template that I started with, and I'm actually down in the bowl using the sides of the bowl as the template now.
Can I make those for you, those templates?
Pardon?
Didn't I make those?
Were you the one that did that? I don't remember. Okay, I couldn't remember who did.
I think the bargain was he let me use his bit if I would make him some.
Yeah, Pat did borrow the bit one time. I remember that, but I didn't remember the part about the. But you're probably exactly right with it.
I'm going to start signing my work.
There's a little bit of sanding that'll have to be done down there, but we started out with maple at the top, and now we're down into the, we're maybe a 1/4 inch down into the walnut. I normally will go down till I've got about 3/8 of an inch left in the bottom, so that when I use my round over a bit, you've got plenty of wood left in there with it. Get to this point, I take it off. If I was ready to finish this now, I'd take it off the template. I'd go over to the bandsaw. I would have my marks, make my marks around there for the outside of the bowl. Cut it out on the bandsaw. Go to the drum sander or belt sander that I've got. Sand it smooth. I would use the small 1/8 inch bit for the top. The 3/8 for the bottom to create the base. I then do my sanding on the inside, and once I get it sanded down, you're down to finishing. That's about it. Usually 3. Bob?
When you buy the bit, you buy a max bearing to go with it. I bought the extension and never got any bearing.
Bearing didn't come with your bowl bit?
Well, doesn't have to be matched to the bit itself.
The bearing comes with the bit, and it's matched to it when it came. Now, I've had this bit sharpened once, and I'm probably getting close to where I need to have it sharpened again.
But then it's the wrong side.
Well, they say they said it doesn't affect it, because they're sharpening the front edge, not the side. So, but I've had it sharpened once already, and it didn't affect it. But like I say, I did have to replace. I had one bearing froze up on me. I don't know what happened to it, but it had a lot of use with it.
The thing you want to be careful of, if you don't buy the extension and the bit at the same place, the extension is bigger around than the bit. So you have to buy them at the same place at the same time, because they have to match.
Yes, that's another point, because some of the collet extensions are bigger. Well, that's a good point, Pat. Any question? I mean, didn't spend a whole lot of time here, but that's basically Rex.
You had any problem with vibration?
No, with that extension. That was my first concern when I bought that thing, but you can run that. There is no vibration. That thing is very well balanced. I think it's CMT. I know it's a CMT. Yes, I bought them from Woodhaven down at Durant. DeWitt. No, is it DeWitt? It's off Highway 30 or 80. I can't remember which, but Woodhaven is the name of the place, and that's where I got it probably 10 years ago. Durant. Okay. Well, it would have been 10 years. About the article came out in 09, so about 4 years ago, I guess, is when I got it. Any other questions I can answer? If not, that pretty much covers what I had